Hey guys, welcome back. Carter, BitsBeTrippin. We are here with the TheCoinDad.
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 Yeah.
I meant to do that. I didn't. I mean, this is unbelievable. Like, some of this is crazy because I have owned some of these. You guys have seen some of the videos back in 2013, 2014 as we were testing out various mining ASICs, including some of the Bitmain stuff, the rock miners. There's probably a few Sponduli techs here that you guys remember seeing. There it is. There's the old rock miner right there.
All the Spondulis
All the Spondulis over there. This is the largest.
Yeah, largest in the world.
In the world.
We got over 92 pieces right now, all shot 256 from the very first Avalons down there. This is the one that I was telling you about from Fried Cat.
Oh yeah.
So this is 100.
So what's the story for the folks that are not really appreciative of like what this is? This looks.
Sorry, I can't open it. My wife took the keys. It's locked already.
No worries.
But end of 2012, there's a guy named Fried Cat who's, I would consider him kind of like the Vitalik Buterin of mining from China. He came to Harvard over here to the U.S. and then he read the white paper and almost immediately stopped Harvard and went back to China because he figured all this out so quickly and started making the ASIC, world's first ASIC miner. And the company that he founded called Bitfountain, and then I don't know if you remember ASIC Miner, the company itself.
Yep.
So they got a USB stick over there. And this 130 nanometer chip he produced, it's a BE100, and he started self-mining at home or in China in a facility, and then he was selling shares to the public on Bitcoin Talk. And from what I heard, Jihan Wu was invested into him in the early days, and this was even before Avalon 1 came out with their miner. But when he wanted to bring this to market, so I don't know what happened along the way to where he couldn't produce it fast enough, Avalon beat him to it. So Avalon is officially the first ASIC to market, but his is officially the first ASIC built. And I think Butterfly Labs was first to open their mouth about it.
Yeah.
was
I'm trying to get all of us on those jalapenos, which I had a couple of.
I got the jalapeno down there. But yeah, this is a pretty big piece of history, along with over here, if you guys want to come see this. Sorry again for the glare, it's locked up. But this is the Avalon 1, 110 nanometer. And that's a black version and the silver version, and they only made about 300 of these back then. And it was actually a female named Chen Min who was a part of the team that made the chip. So technically speaking, the first miner to come to market is made by a female, which not many people know.
Amazing. Yeah, that's great.
She was kind of like the secret sauce for Avalon, and they kept her in the background as kind of like the secret weapon. And then they had some other guys that were out in the forefront on TV and going out to conferences for Avalon. Yeah. They kind of kept her hidden, but she was the brains behind this. She ended up leaving the company as I think she was almost a co-founder, considered a co-founder, and ended up going to start her own company doing Ethereum mining later on. But I just got today I have on the Bitcoin Mining Museum website, I have 12 OGs on the advisory team, and one of them got me an Avalon signed by her from overseas and brought it today to me.
That's amazing.
It's hidden right now. I don't have it to show yet because it's not cleaned. And then over here, there's the Avalon 2, where the co-founder, the CEO of Avalon, and the designer of this Avalon 2 signed them. So I got 3 autographs. And what's cool about it is the last conference, there's a photo right here of him. He came in with a fake name to the conference with no crew on the low, just wanting to see what's going on and seeing the museum. And I could see from his body language, like this, he's really interested in this.
Yeah.
And then I found out from an OG whispering in my ear saying, hey, that's the original co-founder of Avalon. I was like, holy smokes. And I walked up to him and I'm like, I called him out by his real name because he told me the real name. And he's like, how do you know it's me? I came here on a fake name. So that was like really cool. And then he decided that I asked him if he could sign it and he said, sure.
It's very crypto of him. I love it.
Cell phone. I don't even know if you know this. In 2010, the network was so small that on Bitcoin Talk, a guy figured out how to download the node and the whole Bitcoin blockchain and mine off of the cell phone with the chip on it, with the battery in it, and then got 0.46 of a Bitcoin and sent it to another cell phone, N95, N900 cell phone user on Bitcoin Talk. Two people that didn't even know each other used two cell phones to only one time in history transact on that phone. Because after that, GPUs came in and the difficulty shot up.
It shot up
so
quick.
They couldn't do that no more.
Yep.
So, and then there's Adam back with the signature on the jalapeno miner right there, which is also hard to find with the original box and the paperwork that came with it.
Yep. Imagine you got a Titan around here somewhere, the KNC.
I have, I don't have the Titan because that's not SHA-256. That was Litecoin mining, right? But I have the Jupiter over here for KNC
the Jupiter,
miner.
the KNC,
And then I have the Neptunes, but the reason why I don't have them here with me is because I got the founder to sign them for me in Sweden, and they're just not coming back to me.
Yeah, the Jupiter, that's the one.
So this Jupiter, they made only about 300 of these from this batch. If you actually take the control board off, all 7 of the original founders got their signature printed on the control boards for all of them. This one here, they did not want to have a reputation like Butterfly Labs. So for them not to screw up, the founder himself told me that him and the CTO took 2 different planes to go pick up the chips and backpacks, and one with a briefcase with handcuffs on it, and then took 2 different planes back home in case one of them had a delay or something. You still had chips arriving back in Sweden, so they can be on time to bring this to production to the customers, which I thought was a pretty cool behind-the-scenes story.
Right after the jalapeno launch was delayed, a lot of people ordered, and they were, they weren't too far from us either, because I mean we were in the St. Louis area, they were in Kansas City, and it was like, hey, we're real close. Can we come out to your facility? I was trying to get out there back in like 2012, 2013, or in the beginning of 13, when they were announcing them and trying to get them out, and we just, even though we were a couple hundred miles away, we still couldn't get to them. But they're, I remember the Monarch.
The Monarch is over there.
And
I just found out last week that they made 2 of the Monarchs. Did you know that?
The one that looks like the GPU side look.
It's kind of like sideways with a radiator front.
That's
sitting in the case up there. But I found out today that the pre-orders were 650s, and then they had a second batch that came out with 700s. I didn't know that they had 2 different versions of the Monarchs. Obviously, everybody already knows the new stuff over here. Let's see.
You got any of the original or the one-off Bitfury? Like just
the miner or the USBs?
Just the miners.
You mean the B8s and B9s with the 3 fans in the front? I spoke to the founder of Bitfury in Tbilisi, Georgia, and he spoke to one of his site guys in Canada, and they're supposed to ship me one of each for the museum. I don't have them yet, but they told me they'll give me some. I do have some Bitfuries here for the USB sticks from back in the day. But I think there's roughly 35 USB sticks made back then, and so far I got about 16 of them. And some of them were pretty rare.
So is there anything here that wasn't commercial, that was like a special run that somebody had maybe prefabricated themselves, from a foundry to just to make some of their own, like test boards?
So this is literally, you guys be the first to record this, I guess, right? Some people do. That during this era, in 2016, I think, no, 18, Avalon partnered with somebody in the United States to make Avalon 841 immersion cooled miner. And there's supposed to be less than 50 of these in the world, and he thinks maybe a lot of them got thrown away, so there's maybe less than 10. But this one's still brand new, and they're supposed to go into tanks down. These are the same chips as what's in here for this miner, but for immersion cooling. And I've never heard of this or seen about this, and never knew about it until today.
Nice. It makes me want to go back to a lot of emails. We should find somewhere and then just go through some emails together from back in those days. When we were trying to figure out with a lot of, Marshall, Long, a couple of the other old OGs.
Matt Carson.
Trying to figure out when we were watching the hash rate jump up, and we were like, okay, we have an understanding of what's coming out and their production runs, because remember, you'd pre-order stuff, and the network would start to jump up, and you're like, okay, obviously they've created something and they haven't shipped them yet. Maybe they're burn testing them in. But we were trying to estimate.
Burn test, right?
Yeah, burn test, right? Mining the network, and we were trying to estimate like batch sizes, right? And then we were like, wait a minute, the math's still off, which means that there's other stuff out there. So who's making one-offs? Who's trying to run the game around that time? 2012, 2013 into 2014, and trying to figure out what one-offs. And so there was a lot of speculation that there were special runs, 300 units of like their own thing, and trying to figure out, and those are like the rarest of the rare, like a very small.
I have heard stories of people with money and connections that get their own version of a miner made for personal mining in some facility in the mountains in China or some crap, and it never went to market. Nobody knows nothing about it.
I
think that M29 is kind of like that because it never really got to market, but they did produce, I think, maybe 1,500 or 2,000 or something I heard. Before, but then, the whole lawsuit stuff happened, so it never went to market.
Just seeing some of those. I mean, a lot of it came from that, like where it was it's like they didn't make a different, unique chip. It was just like a different array set up for a particular application like that. But it is awesome to see that, from that time. And I'm trying to think, like,
water cooling, the earliest was the C1. I don't know if you remember that one. I think I have that over there too. So it's...
Well, I could have sworn, like, I remember doing Bitcoin, North American Bitcoin Conference in 2014, and I want to say Butterfly Labs had a water cooler on.
Oh, yeah. You mean the single big chips one?
Yeah.
That has it on the Monarch.
Yeah, the Monarch. That's right.
It's got the radiator right there, and you got the tubes going through, and you got 1, 2, 3 chips.
It's like a run through memory lane. So like it's different. This is probably a different experience for everybody, right? Some people had maybe some experience with it, but for like for me personally, it's like we're taking a ride through memory lane of like when this stuff was coming out, because people at that time there wasn't YouTube videos, there wasn't a lot of stuff out there about this stuff. It was just what was on Bitcoin Talk, and then maybe a little bit of Reddit or other stuff. So you had just limited information, and it was just meetups. You find out like, hey, this thing's coming out, or maybe North American Bitcoin Conference, or some of the other conferences that were just kind of coming around in 2013, 2014 to get to see. Maybe Butterfly. I mean, I remember that one. That was in Chicago. It was 14. Butterfly Labs was there. They already had kind of a bad name, and people were like, oh, you're never going to go to market. I remember seeing that with the water cooling on it and stuff, but just and them talking about other things that they were coming up with, right, at that time. I think Spondoolies was on their first iteration of that.
They had a good reputation back then.
They had a good reputation back then. But yeah, they were showing like their 5, I think it was the 5 terahash at the time. I think it was 5 terahash at the time, the SP35. But yeah.
One thing that's awesome about this museum is that me always going to every conference that books us, I see the reaction from people, and I've seen everything from a 10-year-old kid with his mother asking questions about how to heat their cabin home in the mountains for they have like a little getaway spot, and they want to heat it in the wintertime. We actually have the oldest miner in the world in North Carolina. She's 91 years old, mining 1 megawatt out in Alabama on the container.
Amazing.
Like, I have a video on my Twitter about it, and it's almost got 100,000 views. It's pretty awesome. Then there's OGs with their reactions. The individual react. That KNC miner I just showed you, the Jupiter. There's an OG that walked up in the last conference who got teary-eyed and started crying when he seen it, because he hadn't seen it in 10 years, and that made him a whale. He told me he was making 15 Bitcoin a day when he plugged it in.
They were ridiculous when they first came out.
And then today I interviewed one OG from... He was part of the first 50 people in the world to mine Bitcoin. And when he plugged his laptop in, he said he went to bed and woke up the next day and had 200 Bitcoin in his wallet overnight. He mined 4 blocks at 50 Bitcoin each with one laptop. He was that early. That's insane.
That was before me.
But the thing is that when you Google on Google search, the error from that time is so cloudy Nobody knows none of these stories.
Yeah.
So that's why I chose to start, like, from the last conference, the experience of seeing those reactions. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna set up a place, and every time I see OG come through and I see his emotions, hey, get your butt over there. I'm gonna record your stories. We got to catch this.
Yeah.
That's why I'm doing this gallery on my website of all these OGs interviews.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, just
so I need to catch you over there tomorrow or something and knock you
absolutely.
out.
I know I have my jalapeno testing. I recorded it. Like when the day I got it, I recorded when I got it out. I posted on Twitter some of the just payouts of it, you know, just to show. Here's November of 2013, and here's your payouts over an entire month. I mean, we have that. It was before I was doing like BitsBeTrippin. Like it was December of 2013. Those first few videos of me posting on Bitcoin Talk inspired me to make a YouTube channel on it back in 2013. I was like, well, people want to know about this. So I started doing it, and it was really from that first pieces of mining experience of just like iteratively talking to people on Bitcoin Talk, and I'm like, wait a minute, the feedback loop here is good because there might be options to overclock that, but I mean, like, I want to engage this conversation a little more. So seeing this stuff kind of, you know, the history that we've been through since then is just amazing.
This is like, literally the backbone of all the Bitcoin right here, and nobody would have a job in this whole conference or anywhere in the world with Bitcoin if it wasn't for this. This is the DNA.
Yeah. It is, and like we were having a real good conversation earlier with like Dennis Porter about talking about like the infrastructure. Like this is the heart, but a lot of the, you know, the people are the soul of it, and then the other appendages and all the other stuff around that to make up that whole unit is the power infrastructure and the transformers, and there's the global growth of it, right? I mean, it's like all these industries. It's just turned in like people
from a basement to Riot blockchain. It's insane.
Correct. Yeah, and it's just seeing all the other industries that are at play here, because it's easy to get myopic on this, you know, from like the chips and then the performance and what's the output, but then you start to realize like, man, there's full on like bigger than 40-foot containers with and then power infrastructure and like talking about balancing grids. Like it's expanded past, you know, just being very myopic, but having the history of what started it is like vital. Like this is you're doing a service.
Nobody
here,
back
man.
then when you first started would ever thought about curtailment.
Well,
I orange pilled the guy that gave me that Avalon. I did not. For 3 years, I searched for an Avalon 1, the first miner in the world. I could not find one. I had Avalon here, and they told me, good luck finding one. And they are the ones that made it. They don't have one. So one day, like, it was close to April Fool's. And all the OGs that I have in my circle that I connected with know that I'm looking for one. So I got a message on Telegram that said, are you interested in the Avalon 1? And it's like just a few days after April Fool's, I thought somebody was messing with me. And one of these OJs made a fake Telegram account and sent me this bullcrap. I'm like, man, that's bullcrap. I don't believe you. And then he said, no, seriously, I have an Avalon 1. I said, okay, if you have one, take a video, put it on a chair, take a 360 video of the whole miner. I want to see all of it, and send it back to me. 20 minutes later, I get a freaking file on my Telegram from this person I don't even know of this miner right here on a chair. And I freaked out. My fat ass did backflip. I don't even know how. So he was not even into Bitcoin. He's a PC, vintage Apple computer PC guy from the back in the day, 50-some-year-old dude probably, who went to a yard sale 5 years ago and supposedly got this for like $10 in a yard sale, thinking that there's parts in it that he could use in his shop. Opened it up and said, what the hell is this? So he closed it back up, put it up on the shelf, and 5 years later, like, he was cleaning up and found it. And then he looked it up on the internet to find out what it even is, found out it's a Bitcoin miner, then looked up 2 words, Bitcoin and museum. My website pops up. He goes on my website, sees my Telegram. He's like, what the heck is Telegram? So he had to download Telegram to reach me. And that's how I got a message from this person I don't even know. And then I told him, are you into Bitcoin? He says no. So I got him to download Coinbase, orange pilled him about Bitcoin with 21 million, supply cap, the whole 9 yards, 2-hour conversation. In 4 days of negotiating back and forth, we settled on a price, and I paid Bitcoin, and he shipped it to me. So it came to me. I didn't have to search for it because of my website.
Yeah, much respect there. You ever see this go into where it ends up being in a permanent location?
You hear that, Michael Saylor?
Let's put it in there. We should put it in a permanent location.
You never know. If somebody like a Michael Saylor just says, hey, here's a building in Miami. I want a whole thing and save the history of Bitcoin mining and have a actual location that people could see it. What we're doing here right now is passion.
Yeah,
My
absolutely.
whole crew's back in the hotel room taking showers, going eating dinner, and I'm starving.
We're
and we're standing there talking.
about it. Hell yeah. Awesome, man. Well, we'll wrap this one up. Yeah, I could talk all day. But yeah, I'll get back out there with you, and we'll do a
All right,
little
cool.
thing tomorrow.
Appreciate it. Appreciate me having me.
Yeah, it was good.
Take care, guys.
Yep. Peace.
All right.
Yeah, let's go get